The Galactic Council's chamber was a marvel of alien architecture. A circular room of immense size where delegates from over 100 species debated, conspired, and ruled the galaxy. Beams of soft green and blue light illuminated the room, giving the setting an almost divine atmosphere. Seated at the center of the room were humanity's representatives, surrounded on all sides by towering figures of alien power and prestige. At the heart of the chamber stood Eli Carter, a child prodigy from Earth, chosen not only for his extraordinary intellect, but for his ability to unite nations through his words. The council chamber's murmurs quieted as the central platform rose, bringing Eli into full view. He was small, standing no taller than the knees of some of the assembled delegates, but his presence commanded attention. Wearing a crisp diplomatic suit adorned with Earth's emblem, he took a deep breath, gazing confidently at the sea of alien faces before him. Honored members of the Galactic Council, Eli began, his voice steady and measured, amplified by hidden systems. Humanity comes to you today not as adversaries, but as partners. For decades, we have followed your mandates, paid your tariffs, and accepted our position on the galactic periphery. But now we ask for more. A chance to contribute to the greater good as equals. The audience remained silent, their expressions inscrutable. Some listened attentively, others showed disdain. Drexer the Arbiter, an enforcer of the Council's law and one of its most feared members, leaned forward. His elongated, skeletal frame loomed over the rest of his species, his glowing eyes fixed on Eli. Your request is ambitious, Drexer rumbled, his voice a low growl that seemed to reverberate through the chamber. What does a child know of governance, of war, of sacrifice? Your species has only barely escaped its own primitive wars. Why should we grant you a seat here? Eli met Drexer's glare without flinching. Because we've learned from our history, he said. We've suffered through war, famine, and hardship, but those experiences taught us the value of unity and peace. Humanity is not perfect, but we bring perspective. A fresh voice in a council that has grown complacent. A ripple of murmurs spread through the room. Some delegates nodded in agreement, while others scowled. Eli pressed on. Moreover, he continued, we have noticed certain discrepancies in the council's governance. Several of your trade mandates disproportionately exploit Earth and other less represented worlds. Resources are extracted without fair compensation, and opportunities for growth are stifled. We wish to address these inequalities, not just for humanity, but for all species under your banner. The chamber exploded into chaos. Delegates shouted over one another in alien languages, some expressing outrage, others intrigue. Eli stood firm, though his small frame seemed dwarfed by the storm of voices around him. Order! Drexer roared, slamming his clawed hand on the platform before him. The chamber fell silent. These accusations are baseless. You come here, not in humility, but with insults and arrogance. Perhaps humanity is not ready to join us after all. Eli's confidence wavered for the first time. He glanced toward Earth's ambassador, who shook her head subtly, urging him to tread carefully. I did not mean to insult, Eli said carefully. I only wish to speak the truth. The truth, Drexer interrupted, his tone icy, is that humanity has overstepped its place. You claim wisdom, yet you send a child to negotiate with beings who have ruled the stars for millennia. A child who does not understand the consequences of his words. Drexer rose from his seat, his towering figure casting a long shadow over Eli. I accuse this child of subverting the council's authority. He seeks to sow discord and undermine the order we have maintained for eons. The room went still. Humanity's ambassador leaped to her feet. This is outrageous. Eli has done nothing but present our case respectfully. Drexer ignored her, his glowing eyes fixed on the boy. The punishment for subversion is death. Gasps filled the chamber. Eli's breath hitched, but he didn't cry out or plead. He stood tall, his gaze unyielding. If speaking the truth is a crime, then so be it, he said, his voice breaking but resolute. Without warning, Drexer raised an arm, and a beam of blue energy erupted from his claw, striking Eli in the chest. The boy crumpled to the ground, lifeless. "No!" Humanity's ambassador screamed, rushing forward, but guards restrained her. The council chamber erupted into chaos once more, but Drexer remained unmoved, staring coldly at the boy's body. "Let this be a lesson," he growled. "The council will not tolerate defiance." The humans were escorted from the chamber under heavy guard. As they boarded their ship to return to Earth, a deadly silence hung over them. The representatives said nothing, their faces pale and their fists clenched. Back on Earth, the footage of Eli's execution spread like wildfire. Billions watched in horror as the child who had represented their hopes and dreams was cut down without mercy. The message was clear. The Council had declared humanity weak and insignificant. But humanity's response was just beginning. The footage of Eli's execution spread across Earth like wildfire, igniting outrage and sorrow in equal measure. Vigils were held in every major city, Eli's name chanted as a symbol of humanity's pain and defiance. The child's death united the world in a way no politician or war ever had. Nations that had once been bitter rivals now stood shoulder to shoulder, their leaders making quiet but resolute promises. Humanity would not let this atrocity go unanswered. In a hidden bunker beneath the Andes Mountains, the Earth Defense Command convened an emergency session. The leaders of Earth's military forces, scientists, and key diplomats gathered around a holographic table, their faces grim. Admiral Lynn Novak, a veteran strategist with decades of experience, spoke first. "We all saw what they did to Eli," Novak said, her voice steady but cold. "The Galactic Council believes we're weak, incapable of fighting back. They think we'll mourn and move on. But they've made a critical mistake. They've underestimated us." On the table, a hologram of Earth's oceans flickered into view. Points of light marked secret facilities hidden in the deep. These were the resting places of humanity's ancient fleet, weapons of war built centuries ago during humanity's first encounters with hostile alien forces. The fleet had been decommissioned after the conflict, deemed too dangerous for a fragile, recovering Earth. Now, those relics of the past were humanity's only hope. "We call it Project Revenant," Novak continued. "The ships are old, but their technology was centuries ahead of its time. So advanced, in fact, that even the Galactic Council wouldn't know how to counter it. For years, we've maintained them in secret, upgrading what we could and preserving the rest. Now, we bring them back to life." A murmur spread through the room. Some looked uneasy, others resolute. "It's a gamble," said General Arjun Patel, commander of Earth's ground forces. "If we deploy these ships and fail, the Council will retaliate with everything they have. We risk extinction." "We're already at risk of extinction," Novak shot back. "The Council has made it clear, they don't see us as equals. They see us as expendable. If we do nothing, they'll continue to exploit and oppress us." Eli's death was just the beginning. The room fell silent. Finally, the United Nations Secretary-General, a calm but determined woman named Sofia Reyes, nodded. "Admiral Novak is right. This is no longer just about justice for Eli, it's about survival. Activate Project Revenant." Across the globe, humanity's hidden fleet stirred. Deep beneath the ocean, colossal ships began to rise, their hulls glowing faintly as dormant systems powered up. In lunar bunkers, ancient fighters and bombers were prepped for launch. Crews were hastily assembled, many of them volunteers inspired by Eli's memory. Within days, the fleet was ready. At its head was the flagship Eternal Vigilance, a dreadnought bristling with weapons and shield systems that even Earth's top engineers barely understood. Admiral Novak stood on the bridge of the Vigilance, staring out at the stars. She transmitted a message to the Galactic Council, a short, chilling declaration. "You killed our child. Now we are coming." The fleet launched, leaving Earth behind in silence. This was not a mission of exploration or diplomacy. It was a mission of vengeance. Humanity had awakened its ancient weapons, and the galaxy would soon learn the price of underestimating Earth. The fleet arrived at Vetra Prime, a mineral-rich planet vital to the Galactic Council's war machine. Admiral Novak stood on the bridge of the Eternal Vigilance, her gaze fixed on the holographic display showing the formidable Council fleet arrayed before them. Hundreds of warships formed an unbreakable wall around the planet, their weapons bristling with lethal potential. Scans indicate enemy fleet strength is nearly double ours, reported Lieutenant Shun, the ship's tactical officer. Novak's expression was unflinching. Numbers don't win battles. Strategy does. Signal the fleet. Proceed to combat formation beta. Begin the assault. The human fleet moved with precision, their formation designed to exploit weaknesses in the Council's defensive lines. The Eternal Vigilance led the charge, its ancient yet devastating weapon systems firing concentrated plasma beams that ripped through enemy shields. The Council forces responded immediately, unleashing a torrent of firepower that lit up the void of space. Explosions and streaks of energy crisscrossed the battlefield as the two fleets clashed. Humanity's ships, equipped with advanced shielding and superior maneuverability, danced through the chaos, their strikes calculated and devastating. On the Council's flagship, Commander Vale snarled as his ship shuddered under the impact of another volley. "These humans fight like predators," he growled. "They're coordinated, relentless. How did they develop this level of technology? They shouldn't have been able to," one of his officers replied, panic in their voice. "We underestimated them." The battle raged on, but it became clear that humanity had the upper hand. Council ships exploded one by one, their formations breaking as panic set in. Despite their superior numbers, the Council fleet was unprepared for the ferocity and precision of humanity's assault. Admiral Shin called out, "We've broken through their defensive line. Vetra Prime's orbital defenses are exposed." Novak gave a curt nod. "Deploy the strike teams. We're not here to conquer. We're here to send a message." Smaller vessels descended to the planet's surface, targeting critical infrastructure with precision strikes. Weapon depots, supply hubs, and communication centers were destroyed in rapid succession. The Council's forces on the ground scrambled to respond but were overwhelmed by the efficiency and ruthlessness of humanity's tactics. As the battle neared its conclusion, Admiral Novak ordered an open broadcast to all Council frequencies. Her face appeared on screens across the Council's territories, her voice calm but resolute. "This is Admiral Novak of the Earth Defense Fleet. Your fleet at Vetra Prime has been defeated, your resources crippled. This is only the beginning. You murdered a child in cold blood and believed we would submit. You were wrong. Humanity will not be your slaves, and we will not be your victims. Remember Vetra Prime the next time you think to underestimate us." The message sent shockwaves through the galaxy. For the first time in its long history, the Galactic Council had suffered a decisive defeat. The remnants of their fleet retreated, leaving Vetra Prime in ruins. As the human fleet regrouped, Admiral Novak stood silently on the bridge, her gaze fixed on the stars. This victory was just the beginning, but it proved one undeniable truth. Humanity was no longer a species to be ignored. The galaxy had awakened a force it didn't understand, and the consequences would shape the future forever. The skies above Lornaxus Prime, the glittering capital of the Galactic Council, were serene, a stark contrast to the chaos unfolding across the galaxy. Inside the Council chamber, the surviving delegates gathered in hushed panic. News of humanity's relentless advance had shaken even the most arrogant species. High Warlord Zarek's defeat at Vetra Prime was unthinkable. Now Earth's fleet was bearing down on their stronghold. "This is madness," one delegate hissed, their insectoid mandibles clicking in frustration. "How could humans, mere primitives, cripple our forces? Their weapons are beyond anything we've seen," another replied. "If they reach Lornaxus, we may not survive." Drexer's successor, a stoic reptilian named Caress, silenced the room with a sharp wave of her hand. "They will not reach Lornaxus. Our planetary defenses are impenetrable. No species, not even humanity, can breach them," but her words rang hollow. The Council's once unshakable confidence was crumbling. Outside, thousands of planetary defense cannons powered up, their operators preparing for the worst. Massive fleets orbited the planet, a final line of defense against the approaching human armada. Admiral Novak stood on the bridge of the Eternal Vigilance, her face illuminated by the holographic projection of Lornaxus Prime. Her fleet, though smaller than the Council's forces, was armed with technology centuries ahead of its time. "Status?" Novak asked. "Planetary defenses are fully operational," her tactical officer replied. "Orbital cannons, shield grids, and over 200 enemy ships between us and the surface." Novak nodded. "Then we do what humanity does best. Adapt and overcome. Signal the fleet. Begin the assault." The first wave of Earth's attack was brutal. Dreadnoughts unleashed concentrated energy beams, carving through enemy ships with surgical precision. Fighter squadrons swarmed the Council's larger vessels, exploiting weaknesses in their shields. The Eternal Vigilance spearheaded the charge, its advanced shields shrugging off enemy fire as it plowed through the heart of the Council's defensive line. On the planet's surface, panic erupted as Earth's weapons disabled key planetary defenses. One by one, shield generators collapsed, leaving Lornaxus Prime vulnerable. Inside the Council chamber, Caress slammed her clawed hand on the table. "This cannot be happening. Mobilize ground forces. We must hold the capital at all costs." But before her orders could be executed, a deep rumble shook the chamber. The holographic display of the battle outside flickered as Earth's fleet broke through the final line of defense. The Eternal Vigilance descended into Lornaxus's atmosphere, its massive form casting a shadow over the city below. Admiral Novak's voice boomed through the Council's communication network. "Members of the Galactic Council, this is Admiral Novak of the Earth Defense Fleet. Your time of unchecked power and oppression is over. Surrender now or face annihilation." The Council chamber fell silent. Delegates exchanged nervous glances, their defiance crumbling. Caress rose, her posture tense. "If we surrender, humanity will become the new tyrants," she growled. Novak's reply was cold. "Humanity seeks justice, not tyranny. But know this, if you refuse, we will do whatever it takes to ensure you can never harm us again." After a long silence, Caress lowered her gaze. "We surrender." The Council's flag was lowered, replaced by Earth's emblem. Humanity had not just avenged Eli's death. They had reshaped the galaxy forever.